last 10 years has seen just an incredible growth in mobile gaming. It seems like everywhere you go these days, people are playing mobile games of all different genres. You've created a really interesting business, Paul, in transforming the gaming industry with what could potentially be a totally new genre.
Thank you.
Quazard is making games that have an educational element and an actual investment element, where you don't actually just be having to pay to play, but you can actually have an opportunity to make some money. How does Quazard work?
So basically we have 2 or 3 different ways you can play, and you kind of build up your character, which is a different method of trading. And at level 1, you can't really lose money. And you kind of like, the more experience you do, the more you play with a character, the more risk effectively you can take on board. So it may be that on level 1, you say, right, okay, if you've got 1 Bitcoin or $1,000 worth of funds, you can only actually trade or play with 5% of that. You show what you're doing and prove that you can do it 10, 15 times, then you reach level 2, you've gained more experience points, and then we open up that risk. So you can actually take on board more risk. That methodology works across all of the kind of the weapons and add-ons and stuff that you can do. So the game kind of works in terms of you grab a character, you give it additional weapons, and if it's an automated trading bot, then basically you give it a weapon that maps to like a technical indicator. You then deploy that onto the battlefield, and then the robot does all of the kind of the battle for you. So it's kind of build up your character. At point of deploying, it then turns into like a real-time sim game.
So there's elements of what you're doing that involve people investing money, hopefully making money, but possibly losing money. Where will regulation enter then the business model for Quazard? It sounds like you're becoming a financial services company with a gameplay front end to it.
It's an interesting one because we are kind of creating something that doesn't exist. So we're currently exploring regulation over in Malta. They are good for gaming, gambling, and crypto. So for us, it's important that if we need to be regulated, we will be. And to have our own exchange, which basically our games will wrap around that exchange, then would put us into a financial entity. So we will need to be regulated for that.
A crypto exchange has been, there's many of them out there. There's a lot of competing forces in that market, and it's just starting to become regulated. What do you think the roadmap looks like for regulation in crypto exchanges?
It's going to be up and down. It's going to be very turbulent. This year in particular, everything's about regulation and about custodian services as well. So I think the minute that regulation comes, there's going to be a lot of exchanges that suddenly disappear.
What market share do you envision Quazard capturing of the overall mobile gaming industry?
The gaming industry was about 102 billion last year. Mobile represented about 65% of that. That in its own right is huge, even if we can take a tiny little slither of that, because I think our games also appeal to the trading community and to the gambling community.
Right.
So our aim is actually to take a kind of a small slice of each of those.
Do you think that the trading community is really going to adopt a new way of trading? That they've got their systems in place today. How do you get them to move onto your platform?
Well, I think if you look at the trading industry, most people lose their money straight away. So customer lifetime is about 6 months, but they literally, I think an average portfolio is around $7,000, and typically people lose that. So by gamifying trading and making it a bit more around the risk management side of stuff.
Well, and from a risk management perspective, preventing them from losing money, as you said earlier in the early going.
So rather than having a motive of we want you to lose and spend all your money straight away, we want the opposite. We want to help you manage that so that you don't. That way then we believe you'll be a customer that retains with us much longer.